Firefighting requires the highest standards in personal protective clothing because it presents one of the most hostile working environments possible. Injuries can be prevented and lives can be saved by wearing and maintaining the proper protective clothing for the job. In this program, you will see an overview of various types of personal protective clothing used in the fire service. We will emphasize why you must select and wear only protective clothing that meets fire service standards. The training objectives are: 1. To demonstrate the components of full protective clothing used in structural firefighting and the limitations of each. 2. To show proper protective clothing to be worn as a station or work uniform. And 3. To present procedures for care and maintenance of personal protective clothing. Full personal protective clothing worn by firefighters includes several key components. They are the helmet, eye protection, hearing protection, a protective hood, protective coat and pants, gloves, and protective boots and safety shoes. Each piece helps prevent discomfort and injury, but all have limitations beyond an established range of protection. By selecting the correct equipment and maintaining it properly, you can get optimum protection benefits. The helmet protects the head from impact and puncture injuries, and it sheds water away from your head and face. Newer certified helmets also protect you from heat and cold and from eye and face injury. The wide brim in the back is designed to keep both hot water and embers from burning your ears or going down your neck. Helmet design is one aspect of the fire service that will probably be debated for as long as there are firefighters. All helmets that meet NFPA Standard 1971 are acceptable. The choice of color and style is largely a matter of comfort and tradition. You can check that your helmet meets the specifications by looking for the following information on the helmet: the name, address, and country of the manufacturer, the model and lot numbers, the month and year of manufacture, the weight, a recommended cleaning procedure, and the helmet size or range. Additionally, every helmet should have a warning label that reminds you that you must adjust and secure the helmet properly, and you should not make any modifications to the helmet without the authorization of the manufacturer. Notice that your helmet has ear flaps or covers. These ear covers must be used during firefighting. To secure the helmet so it does not come off in an impact, you must wear the chin strap. Eye protection is an essential part of protective clothing because eye injuries are one of the most common types of injury on the fire ground. Eye injuries can be serious, and yet they are, for the most part, easy to prevent. Eye protection includes safety glasses, safety goggles, helmet face shields, and SCBA face masks. When selecting eye protection equipment, the best materials will be those that are shatterproof, do not scratch easily, and can withstand high temperature. Helmet face shields provide secondary protection and may not provide the eye protection required against flying particles or splashes. Firefighters may encounter a number of emergency situations where primary eye protection, such as goggles or safety glasses, must be worn. Safety glasses and goggles protect against 85% of all eye hazards. Be sure that you have the necessary eye protection equipment on your apparatus. Some non-emergency tasks also require additional eye protection. These include conducting inspections at industrial occupancies or welding or grinding at the station. Always wear the proper eye protection for the job. Warning signs should be posted near operations that require eye protection. Firefighters are exposed to a wide range of loud noises that can result in permanent hearing loss. Hearing protection is necessary because most of this noise cannot be eliminated. Earplugs and earmuffs are used to provide some protection from noise in the station or while on the apparatus, but they pose potential hazards at the fire scene. Earplugs can melt in extreme heat, and earmuffs are not usable with SCBA and protective hoods. The most common use of ear protection is while riding on apparatus that exceeds maximum noise exposure levels. Ear protection systems that have a built-in intercom are helpful because they reduce the amount of noise while still allowing the crew to communicate or to monitor the radio. Protective hoods are designed to protect your ears, neck, and face from exposure to extreme heat. The hood also covers areas that are exposed even when you're wearing your ear flaps, facepiece, or coat collar. Protective hoods are used with the SCBA facepiece to provide effective protection, but you must be careful when donning the SCBA facepiece to be sure that the hood is out of the way when making the face-piece-to-face seal. Firefighter protective coats, or turnout coats, are used in structural firefighting as well as other duties. Coats that meet the NFPA standard 1971 will have 3 layers: an outer shell, a moisture barrier, and a thermal barrier. To be sure that your coat meets the standard, check for a label attached to each separate layer. The label will state that the coat meets the standard and will explain the limitations of the garment. The label also provides instructions for care. Working together, the 3 layers provide protection against heat, flame, cold, hot water, vapors, and some types of environmental hazards. The construction and function of each layer is critically important to your safety. The type of barrier material on the outside of the coat has a great effect on the amount of protection you will have. Some fabric combinations provide better protection against heat, while others are more resistant to cuts. Turnout coats have many features that provide both protection and convenience. Collars can be turned up to protect your neck and throat. Wristlets prevent water, embers, and debris from going up your sleeve. The storm flap closure on the front prevents water or fire products from getting through. Different pocket styles can be designed to hold tools, radios, SCBA face pieces, and other important equipment. There is some disagreement about the best color for a turnout coat. Dark colors are harder to see at night, but light colors show dirt more easily. All turnout coats that meet the standard are designed to be easily cleaned by laundering. Frequent laundering is advised, since studies show that regardless of the color, a dirty coat absorbs heat much more quickly than a clean one. The NFPA standard requires that reflective tape or trim be present on the protective coat. The minimum trim pattern for the coat shall be a band that goes around the bottom of the coat near the hem, a band of horizontal trim at chest level on the front, and either horizontal or vertical bands on the back. This trim should not be obscured by pockets, patches, or storm flaps. Firefighter protective pants or trousers are also required by NFPA 1971. These pants are necessary because 3/4 boots and long coats do not provide adequate protection for the lower body or legs. The types of fabric and the layering principles used in the construction of protective coats also apply to protective trousers. The standard requires that the protective trousers have a band of reflective trim on each leg between the bottom hem and the knee. Suspenders used with protective pants should be a heavy-duty type that will be able to hold up the pants even if they are soaking wet. Gloves are essential to protect your hands against heat, cold, cuts, punctures, and liquid absorption. Firefighting gloves need to be tough and offer insulation against hot and cold. But they also must allow enough dexterity to manipulate tools and perform tasks that require the use of your hands. All gloves used in structural firefighting should meet the requirements of NFPA 1971. You will find a certification label attached to all gloves meeting the standard. Gloves that are coated with a rubber-like plastic cannot be used for firefighting. These gloves, sometimes called red ball gloves, can become soft when exposed to high temperatures. Once the plastic is soft, it can transfer enough heat to turn perspiration to steam and burn your hands. Boots and safety shoes are an important part of your protective clothing, both on the fire ground and in the station. You will need 2 different types of boots and shoes. protective or turnout boots for firefighting and other emergency work, and safety shoes for station wear and non-firefighting duties. Protective boots must meet the requirements of NFPA 1971. They should be puncture resistant with a stainless steel midsole plate. The boot lining should be of a material that will not break up and cause blisters. Turnout boots should have well-secured pull loops to allow you to don them quickly. Safety shoes or boots should be worn while conducting inspections or while working around the station. Safety shoes usually have safety toes and puncture-resistant soles. Safety shoes or boots provide support and agility and generally cause less fatigue than working in the heavier turnout boots. Positive pressure breathing apparatus and full protective clothing is the minimum protection to be used at any incident that might involve hazardous materials. Special firefighting operations such as wildland fires and hazardous materials operations require additional protective clothing and equipment. Certain chemicals will dissolve and deteriorate the outer fabric of turnout coats and pants, and some chemical gases can penetrate the seal of the SCBA facepiece. For incidents involving hazardous materials, it may be necessary for responders to wear specially designed chemical suits that protect against the specific hazard of the incident. The work uniform you wear in the station is another important part of your firefighting personal protective clothing. The work uniform should meet the standards of NFPA 1975, which designates that work clothing should contribute to the effectiveness of the outer protective clothing, not cause discomfort or injury. The work uniform standard requires that the garments must not ignite, melt, drip, or separate when exposed to heat of 500 degrees Fahrenheit or 260 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. Fabrics that have met this requirement include organic fabrics such as fire-resistant wool and cotton, as well as some synthetic fabrics such as Kevlar, Nomex, and Kynol. Remember that even though the work uniform is meant to be fire-resistant, it should not be worn alone for firefighting operations. Always wear full protective clothing, including helmet, turnout coat and pants, gloves, boots, and breathing apparatus for structural firefighting. To ensure that your protective clothing provides you with maximum benefits of protection and comfort, you must care for it and maintain it properly. Each piece of protective clothing has a specific maintenance procedure that should be followed. Helmets need to be kept clean and repaired. The general guidelines for helmet maintenance are: remove dirt from the shell. Dirt on the helmet absorbs heat, making it very uncomfortable in a fire. Remove chemicals, oils, and other petroleum products from the shell as soon as possible. These agents can soften the shell, making it less durable. Repair or replace a helmet that doesn't fit properly. You need a good-fitting helmet for maximum protection against impact. Repair or replace a damaged helmet. Leather helmets can become cracked or brittle with age. All repairs should be done according to the manufacturer's instructions. Inspect the suspension web for deterioration and replace it if necessary. If you want to paint your helmet, consult a manufacturer first. They can advise if painting your type of helmet material is recommended, and if so, what type of paint to use. You should clean the outer shell of your turnout coat and pants regularly. Follow the manufacturer's directions, which you will probably find on a tag sewn into the garment. You should not wash or dry your turnout gear in machines that are used to wash other clothing or bedding. The turnout gear might be contaminated by hazardous materials that could be transferred to other articles washed later in that machine. Most coats and pants can be cleaned simply by laying them out and hand scrubbing them with a mild soap and water. Rinse them off and hang up to dry. Gloves can be cleaned in the same way, but check the manufacturer's instructions before cleaning. Boots used in firefighting get very dirty. To clean them, wash off the oil, grease, chemicals, and other debris as soon as possible to prevent deterioration of the rubber. Store rubber boots in a cool place, away from direct sunlight, to avoid ozone deterioration. Replace any boots that are cut, worn out, or punctured if they cannot be repaired. Apply a recommended protective dressing to leather boots at intervals according to the manufacturer's instructions. In this program, you have seen an overview of the types of personal protective clothing required in the fire service. You have seen each of the components of full protective clothing used in structural firefighting, the correct type of protective clothing to be worn as a station or work uniform, and the procedures for care and maintenance of personal protective clothing. Your personal protective equipment, including your breathing apparatus and protective clothing, are often all that stands between you and the hostile environment of firefighting. By wearing all of the equipment you are issued and maintaining it in the best condition possible, you have taken an important step in assuring your own safety as well as the safety and success of the entire operation.